In business news closer to home, no one asked, but Amazon decided to share how much it spends in payroll and corporate taxes in Canada. The Globe and Mail is reporting that the mega corporation spent $431 million in taxes, including CPP payments, employment insurance, and provincial health funds. Amazon has 40,000 employees in Canada, so why share the numbers if Canada actually doesn't require these public disclosures? We're joined now by retail analyst Bruce Winder. Bruce, why has Amazon decided to share, at least in part, how much they spend on taxes in Canada now when historically that hasn't been the case?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I can only guess, but I would imagine that what they're trying to do is be more transparent. Multinationals, including Amazon, have been criticized in the past for not making money and not paying taxes in Canada. So a lot of people were saying that. Do they pay taxes in Canada, or do they just bring all their money back to the U.S.? There's a lot of discussion about that around the world with governments, especially tech companies. Wondering. There's a movement to say, hey, maybe they should pay more tax where they work, where they do business. So I think I would guess that this is Amazon trying to be more transparent, trying to dispel some of those myths, and kind of tell whatever stakeholders, whether it's government or consumers, that they're here, they pay taxes, they contribute to the economy. That's what I would estimate is why they're doing this now. The thing that stood out to me is that it was voluntary. Big companies normally don't do anything unless governments regulate them to do it. So what stood out for me is the fact that I think times are changing, that the climate is changing for multinationals around the world, and that at least Amazon is, and maybe there's others too, who are starting to sort of listen a bit and say, hey, you know what, we have to be more open about our affairs. We have to try to get rid of some of those myths about us taking all of our profits. So for me, it was just the fact that it was voluntary was quite interesting. I haven't seen that before.
So it's being reported that Amazon says it spent $431 million in payroll and corporate taxes for its 40,000 workers in the country in 2021. Can you put that number into perspective? Is that significant for a company of that size?
It sounds like it's fairly significant. I mean, I don't have all the visibility to that, but I know that there was a study I read somewhere, I think it was in the article, where PwC did a study, and they talked to people in a business council in Canada. And I think the way they gauged it, without disclosing any numbers, is that Amazon ranked in the 15th company on this list in terms of size of taxes. So it's hard to really, measure whether it's a lot or it's a little. So it sounds like it's a sizable chunk in terms of them saying, hey, we're here to play ball. We want to contribute. We want to be recognized really as a Canadian company in Canada versus, just another multinational.
Giant corporations like Amazon want to plant roots where it makes the most financial sense to them. Is Canada appealing in this way?
I think Canada is sort of, the average. If you look at the average of developed countries, Canada would probably be there. There certainly are tax jurisdictions where taxes are less. If you go down to Bahamas or Cayman Islands or some of those tax centers, then corporate tax is lower. But I think Canada is probably in the competitive zone. We're not better or we're not worse, than other big countries. The U.S. may have lowered their taxes a bit more under the Trump era, but I think President Biden is sort of bringing that back up to a level that's more consistent across the G7 countries.
Thanks so much for joining us, Bruce.
Yeah, no problem. Take care. Have a great weekend.